eating that or drinking that.
Problematic. Like if you go to the store and you grab
the raw meat, then
the good part, yeah.
I mean, it's essentially said that like any fasting diet is like really good for cancer.
Feels like, yeah.
So like
autophagy.
There are ways to essentially fast while still like eating some food. If you're like essentially cutting everything out, but like a specific level of food groups, that like any type of sort of extreme diet in that sense can have like cancer getting rid of benefits, which is why, you know, you have Adonis bros who have, you know, raw fermented high meat and like tons of examples of that curing cancer. Dr. Sebi, like, take it at face value, like, yeah, there's a bunch of examples of like, you know, plant-based diets curing cancer. Just straight up fasting curing cancer. Like just go on a have cancer, go on a 30-day fast.
Okay, dude, okay. Here's a good argument. If somebody's fasting, right, and they look at the blood work before the fast and then after or during the fast, any doctor is going to go, oh wow, your testosterone's gone up. Oh wow, your cholesterol's leveled out. Like, oh wow, all your indicators are really good. Your heart rate's better. Like everything's going to be better. Now I could make a documentary saying, you know what, everybody should just fast for the rest of their life. It's just because you're doing something for a short period of time, and you glean benefit doesn't mean it's a long-term strategy. I'd never recommend everyone to just stop eating food for the rest of their life, and that 100% of people should do it. Like that's ridiculous.
But what about this though? If someone finds out trans fat is bad for them, should they continue to eat trans fat? Because it'll literally shorten their life.
Yeah, nobody likes trans fats. It's pretty universal.
I mean, that's pretty
universal. Everybody hates trans fats.
The other thing that we might not be,
you know what I mean?
The other thing we might not be taking into account is that we're attributing all this great response to either fasting or juicing, when in reality we could just be separating these people from gas station food.
Yeah. So maybe that links to that. Oh, go ahead. If you're
right. They're detoxing from all the poison.
Well, I want to say something that tags into that, because this thing is, meat in today's world is generally very toxic and problematic. Like if you go to the store and you grab a thing of vegetables, even if it's not organic, it'll have some pesticides in it, but fairly minimal. It's not going to like be too bad. But the thing is, there are so many meats. I mean, the hormones, the corn, wheat, and soy, which are the subsidized, I think heavily genetically altered, feedstuffs that are all the government subsidized, corn, wheat, and soy, and other grains. So they're being fed that. I mean, hormones, antibiotics, vaccines, toxic water, other like dewormer drugs and other drugs they give. So these animals are pick-packed, and I mean, an animal is like a sponge of toxins and all kinds of things. So it's going to be more toxic in general than a piece of lettuce or an orange or something, because an orange is just, it grows fast, it could be sprayed with pesticides, but that's going to be fairly trace amounts. Whereas meat can be very toxic. I mean, especially like dairy, like, the fluids, you can get diseases, all kinds of shit. So I'm just saying, like, animal foods are highly problematic overall. I'm not saying they all are, because there is some good meat out there and stuff, but it's highly problematic and can be toxic. So, I mean, the quality that people are eating is a huge factor. So I'm just saying, like, that is a factor that, I mean, they're not everyone is eating like, wild venison or like wild moose or like, really, natural wild food, meats. So if you cut out the toxic meat because you weren't eating good meat, and then you just start eating organic vegetables, that's a big shift right there, because you're taking out like, potentially unorganic, very, very toxic meat and, a lot of the mainstream meat, unless someone's paying extra and making sure they're getting like 100% grass-fed, non-vaccinated, all that stuff. So, but just because the meat is like, but my thought is like, it's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater though. Just because the meat can be toxic, to throw it all out and then go on like a starvation vegan diet is not necessarily a solution that's going to be long-term sustaining.
Couple months, 30 days. Especially for like 500-600 pounders. Yeah, 30 days of juice. I'm all for that. They should be eating that or drinking that.
You touched on something earlier, Gio, I wanted to go back to about this formation of the skull in the womb. I remember learning somewhere that like don't know. Don't take this the wrong way, but have you ever seen somebody with a big mouth and like perfect teeth? Anybody know what I'm talking about? When you see somebody, it looks like their jaw is a little bit big and their teeth are like perfectly straight and they got all the room for them in there. Well, I learned that specifically is from their mom getting enough K2 while they were pregnant. And I kind of started paying attention to this, and because like a lot of people have teeth crowding in their mouth, and I have like one friend and another dude I've met that they look like they have a big mouth and a big jaw, and then their teeth are perfect and they don't need anything removed or anything. And I asked one of them, I was like, did your mom eat like raw foods and shit while she was pregnant with you? And this one dude was like, yeah, she lived on a farm or whatever and would drink raw milk and all that.
Yeah,
like,
it is the K2.
Somebody...
Yeah, for sure. It's the K2, but it's also the vitamin A, the retinol, the actual retinol-based vitamin A. So plant food. Yeah, plant foods only have beta carotene, which has to be converted into the retinol vitamin A, which ends up being utilized because that's what the body actually needs is the retinol. So to be able to convert the beta carotene, and there's generally a very, very low conversion rate from all the actual biological and scientific testing in terms of that actual conversion of beta carotene to vitamin A. So it's thought of like in terms of all the literature.
So what? We have a new thing called Farm Boy Mouth, or what?
That generally I was saying, yeah. So the conversion rate of the beta carotene seems to only be like to get by for the minimum. Like if you're starving, you can get by to have enough vitamin A, but it's not getting like optimal levels. But by eating, like that's why I was mentioning the liver. Like a lot of these traditional peoples, like people that like Weston A. Price, for example, when he went and traveled the world back in like the 1920s, before a lot of the industrialization had fully hit. And when he went to these peoples that were living, completely separate from the Western world, like on their own, and what did they do just intuitively, naturally? And they were specifically getting the organ meats to the pregnant mothers. They always get the high priority for the organ meats, like the raw liver. And part of that is because of that vitamin A and the K2. Like you mentioned, the K2 is like the activator. Like there's two types of K2, MK4 and MK7. Those are like the activators that basically tell the nutrients where to go, or they tell the minerals where to go in the most simple sense. Whereas the retinol, the vitamin A is one of the things that's also very essential for the formation of the skull. That's why when it's not formed correctly, not only do you get all the teeth crowding and the all of the wisdom teeth problems, but you also get like some people get TMJ, like TMJ issues for like their whole life. Yeah, which can happen when the skull's not fully able to be formed from getting all the optimal levels of nutrients. And if that woman was drinking raw milk, yeah, there's the retinol vitamin A. Should be getting it there.
But like the terms like country strong and farmer strength, those like isms have been around for a very long time, dude.
I wish veganism worked, dude. In a way, I'd rather not have to kill any animals. So, in a way, I wish it did.
I used to be a chronic masturbator, but after veganism, I can't even get it up. Thanks, veganism.
I wanted to ask, like, sticking on like the testosterone stuff. Has anybody ever experimented with the whole? I'm late to the game. I didn't know this was a thing, like on TikTok or whatever, for a while. But like the sunning your balls, sunning your testicles and stuff. Has anybody ever fucked around with that?
Yeah, I do it.
Do it all the time.
I was going to jokingly say, ask Yasuke.
I didn't know, dude. I've only been doing it for a week, dude. I'm sold. I'm on board.
Balls to the sun, dude. Yep, bare balls to the sun though. They gotta be bare balls.
I was tripping out the first time I did it. I'm just like watching. This is gonna get a little graphic.
I don't mean bare by shaving. I don't mean bare by shaving. By the way, I just mean like ball. At least just the balls hitting the actual sun. Sorry, go ahead.
Dude, I was like tripping out because it was like involuntarily, like my nuts, everything just started moving around like involuntarily, and I was like, "What in the?" It was like it reminded me of the scene from Aliens. It was like the scene from Aliens when the thing's in her belly and this is like doing its own thing.
It's like a hermit crab that's like folding out, like I see the sun.
Wait. What?
That's just because you were paying attention to it. It does that indoors too.
Yeah, I don't stare at my nuts all day long. Yeah, you're right. I went online to like find out, and like a bunch of people have similar experiences.
No, it was
Yeah, your nuts.
parasites moving around.
No, your nuts are like they're supposedly your nuts are like always trying to find the perfect temperature to store your sperm. So they're doing all the moving around essentially.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Dude, the thing of testosterone, if you want to, like, in terms of testosterone, in the plant world, pine pollen is really good for testosterone. It doesn't give the animal base; it gives an analog form, but it's converted, and it allows for more of the free testosterone in your body to be utilized. So yeah, from the plant kingdom, pine pollen, and then from the animal, you have testicles, animal testicles, which are the highest and best source to maintain good, strong testosterone levels. In addition to consuming the prostate gland of the animal as well, which I know some people shudder at the idea of eating that. But if you actually eat prostate and testicles, that is like from the animal, like the most thorough way to actually get real, testosterone dosage and to get the levels up to where they really need to be, especially for men. I mean, I think really eating testicles, not like every day, but at least like, once a month or something, or even like once a week or whatever, especially as men get older, is like pretty essential for men to maintain the testosterone. You can get some of it from the other muscle meat and stuff, but it seems like the way that nature gave it to us in this, at least in this era, that seems like we require these animal foods. Like I have some theories that I'm not sure we were necessarily designed to eat meat, but that's another question. But now it seems like we are required to, because there's no other options to get the nutrients. But from that sense, it's like the animal, like if we're supposed to eat the whole animal, then it's like, yeah, the men are supposed to have some testicle, the women are supposed to eat some of the ovary and the placenta from the animal to maintain her levels as well of those things. So yeah, for testosterone, like the pine pollen, and then from those
Rocky Mountain oysters, huh?
Yeah, no, I want to specifically talk about the pine pollen part, because it's so crazy that it doesn't give you like exogenous testosterone. It essentially just allows your body to naturally produce testosterone on its own more. So it doesn't have that negative feedback loop that a lot of exogenous testosterone sources would give you. I mean, it's literally just pollen from a pine tree. Ideally, you would want to get it in an uncracked form, because essentially, like, as it's cracked, is when all of the good stuff comes in, and if you get it pre-cracked, then that would be bad.
Just a good way on the pine cone or something, or I've never heard of that term. Never seen it.
It's the androgenic part of the plant. So like with the pine cone, you've got the cone itself, which is actually the female, like that's sort of the vaginal part of it, as it were, that kind of takes, receives the pollen. Whereas the pine pollen is the actual, like, the sperm part of it, as it were, the androgenic part. So it's a very androgenic substance. It's basically like, have you ever been, like, if you're living where there's a lot of pine trees, have you ever looked like on your windshield, if your car's parked outside and you got that like thin layer of like yellow powder? Have you ever seen that, like yellow dust?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's most likely pine pollen, or pollen. And then you just exactly, those pictures, and it's in those little things, and they kind of puff off. So like you collect it. It's actually it's a pretty good tasting. Like it's pretty good tasting, like a kind of a yellow powder.
Like a tea, or you just what do you do with it? How do you eat it? How do you prepare it?
Yeah, you can do a tea.
Snort it in a wine.
You can do basically a tea, just raw, like eating the powder raw in it. So either a tea raw, you can do like an extract, like make like a tincture.
If you have uncracked pine.
Yeah, I don't like the cracked kind. I've had the they call it broken cell wall. Yeah, it's kind of a gimmicky thing. I found a brand that like they're just completely wild, and they have like several different like from. I could even post this Amazon link for the one that I get, but they have like lodgepole, they have ghost pine, and they have ponderosa pine, and they're all completely wild harvested, and they're not like cracked or anything. They're just straight from the.
I'm just surprised. I've never heard this from any like gym bros. This feels like gym bros should have been all over this 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, it is used, and yeah, no, I think. Well, I just don't think anyone, like, not very many. They don't all know about it yet. I think it's like a little bit not as known.
It is talked about in the same spheres of gym bros that talk about sunning your balls, but it's not talked about.
Still? Yeah. What do you guys think of pine nut? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's not talked about in this field of gym bros that think about chicken, rice, and broccoli, which would
right.
just kill your testosterone.
70s bodybuilding.
What do you guys think of pine nut? That's one of the most expensive nuts where I'm from. It's like $11, sometimes $14 for 100 grams, more than dark chocolate and all the other nuts. Do you think it's because it's healthy? Pine nut?
Well, I know pine nuts are good for you, but I mean, you'd think being in Canada, they'd be cheap.
Oh yeah. I think maybe it's something to do with the pineal gland.
Well, they are expensive. Yeah, pine nuts are always. I think they don't really like grow. I think as readily. So yeah, they are generally more expensive, like you said. I don't really know of them as like a medicine per se as much. I mean, the whole pine tree has a lot of medicines, like the sap and different factors. But I mean, the nuts, the pine nuts. I just don't know if they have any like specific medicinal benefits the way that the pine pollen does. But
maybe the oil. But yeah.
One of the people I know that's actually a proponent of the pine pollen and has the products is Phoenix Aurelius, and he's an alchemist.
Yeah, it's an evergreen.
So a real scientist.
There you go, a real scientist, yeah. Not bastardized chemistry, but real alchemy.
But pine pollen is like a superfood. It's got like, hundreds of like enzymes and trace minerals. Kind of like, it's almost like like bee pollen. I mean, bee pollen is different from bees, but it's similar in the way that they're like these substances that have like many, many like trace nutrients and unique phytosterols and polyphenols and all these compounds that are unique. So it's really like in that superfood category, the pine pollen.
Oh yeah, there's something that's super interesting about pine pollen. Like you're gonna listen to this and you're gonna be like, wow, Yasuke, that was so interesting. Thank you for telling me this. So, the whole they turn the freaking frogs gay about how there's so many environmental pollutants that are phytoestrogenic, as in like make you have more estrogen in your body. And there's so many environmental pollutants that are like that. Well, there is a single phytotestosterone effect that happens where fish that are downstream from essentially pine farms, like places where they're processing pine wood, fish that are downstream of them essentially just become jacked and roided because they're getting so much exposure to this pine pollen that they just become like, super jacked bodybuilder fish.
Wow, that's cool. That is interesting.
We're entering. This is like prime pine pollen season, by the way. It's going on as we speak.
Yeah, no dog. I live in the desert.
Yeah, nice, dude. Just go start licking windshields. You're good to go.
Where do I get this pine pollen?
I'd have to go to the mountains, but yeah, it's not that far away.
PhoenixAurelius.org.
There's a good amount of sources on it these days. Like, I mean, on Amazon, you'll find a bunch of them. I mean, some of them say like, some of them are from China and they're like cracked wall. I mean, I used to get that one. It's not even too bad, but I like to get the ones that are just straight wild. Like they just harvested it right from nature and are selling it, so yeah, there's a bunch of them. I mean, I've got some of the ones I like, but generally as long as they're like wild harvested and not really messed with ultimately. I mean, there's no like synthetic. I don't think anyone's even farming it. It's all pretty much wild. Although the cracked one from China, I guess I'm not sure what they're doing in China to make that stuff. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of other things that are problematic, like all the farming and that ends up being problematic. But with pine pollen, it's like that's one that is pretty accessible
Plentiful.
To get, like wild. Yeah. Because not very many people like know about it probably, to even sell out of it. And there's enough from nature.
What's the other one? I'm trying to find the other one that's kind of supposedly a known natural testosterone booster.
Like other herbs?
Yeah, I want to say it's like ashwagandha, but that doesn't sound right.
No,
I'm looking for it.
Ashwagandha essentially acts like an SSRI for a lot of people. And it's just put in every single supplement. It's garbage.
It's not garbage, dude.
I'm thinking
an ancient Ayurvedic herb, dude. It's an ancient Ayurvedic herb. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen. It's Ayurvedic. It's ancient. That's not.
I'm thinking of Tonkat Ali is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah, dude, I love that one, dude. Have you tried that?
No, never tried it yet.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Take that before having sex. That's all I can say, dude. That is unbelievable aphrodisiac. Tonkat Ali. Wow. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
What is
Not
it
trying
now?
to go,
What's
not
it?
trying to go, not trying to go sexual in the conversation, but I'm saying that has some very powerful. It's up there with elk antler. Is also like in terms of the aphrodisiac and like the androgenic, specifically for men, and like yeah, those two. Elk antler, but also the Tonkat Ali. But Tonkat Ali, also, and both of those have effects on testosterone. The Tonkat Ali does for sure, and then the elk antler has it's not like as directly connected to testosterone, but it is related with like muscle rebuilding and rejuvenation and cellular regrowth.
What was that first one? Say it again.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Oh,
Tonkat Ali, you just linked it.
gotcha.
Yeah. What I mean by like ashwagandha not being good is that it is like a very specific thing that would be useful for a very specific kind of person. And if you are not that specific kind of person, then it can have like very negative effects, which is why it's essentially in every single like health supplement known to man.
Actually, I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. I have no idea what ashko. I don't know why I thought that, but I don't even know what it is.
Well, it's from the Ayurvedic, going back to the early Vedas, because we have these like certain medicinal, like you have the Chinese, so you have like reishi and shaga and all the thousands of Chinese herbs. But ashwagandha is like more in the Vedic. Well, nowadays it's going to be called Ayurvedic, but it's like a traditional medicine though, in that tradition for eons of time. I mean, it's an adaptogen. It helps like balance stress and balance energy levels. It's really good for cortisol, like people that have like cortisol burnout and different cortisol issues, which is very common. So, but it has a wide range of benefits, the ashwagandha. I mean, I hear what I mean, Yasuke is saying. Everyone's probably different, and I don't know if people are like combining it with stuff, but it gives like physical stamina. It is an aphrodisiac too, as well.
Yeah, it's just like if you're the kind of person who is constantly overworking yourself and can't really come down, like you're permanently stressed, you don't know how to relax, then ashwagandha can be valuable. But like if you're not somebody who's that like autistically obsessed go-getter, you're just like a normal person, then it essentially functions like an SSRI and can kind of like stunt you because like, to a certain point, you need cortisol spikes as an example. So if you have high cortisol, something that would lower cortisol would be good. But if you have an appropriate level of cortisol, like I'm just using that as an example, that in certain cases it could be good, certain cases it could be bad, but it's way overprescribed.
You think SSRIs are ever beneficial?
What are?
I was asking, what's your opinion? Do you think SSRIs are ever a beneficial option?
No.
I'm going to guess no.
I mean, the only reason I would say is maybe like if someone has no other options and they're like suicidal and it would save their life for a short term, maybe. Like if that's all they have and they literally it's going to save their life. Other than that, I think there's many, many better options than any SSRIs, and they can have all kinds of other damaging effects. That might be the only way I would say though. Like if it's that type of situation, if it's like a survival thing, maybe. But other than that, no.
Did you see that list I put in there, Gio? I'm pretty sure I got quite a few of those from like Huberman, but I'm not as big a fan of Huberman now as I was when he first came out, so I have to like rethink some of that shit I put on that list. That's an old ass list, so.
Yeah, I was looking at it. Yeah, I'm familiar, I think, with pretty much all these.
I'll just hear somebody discuss it, and I'll just write it down so that I don't forget it is really what that list is.
Yeah. Levelist. What was your name in 24/7? Levelist.
Huh? What's up?
It was the same name.
What was your name in 24/7? Was it? No, because I remember your voice.
It was Prospiricist.
You were never Levelist on there?
I don't think so.
You had another name too, probably.
Did you use the same avatar? The same PFP?
Yeah, I've had the same PFP for a while. My first Discord, I'm pretty sure it was Prospiricist. Instead of Conspiracist? Prospiricist?
But yeah, just real quick, Yasuke, on the ashwagandha thing, I would have to see what you're referring to, that it was negative for someone, because it is an adaptogen, so it generally would like adapt to your system to where like I've never really heard of ashwagandha being like overtly problematic, but I guess if someone's mixing with other things, or
woman.
if it ends up having like if they're taking a lot of things, and it could because it is in that way. So yeah, but I've never heard of like the.
Huberman talked about it. I don't remember when, but he did speak about how like it's not a big problem, but it did show to lower this, that, or whatever. He it was like specific cases, like don't take it at night or something like that. Like it was like situational. So I don't remember what it was.
Because the one that goes, since we mentioned ashwagandha, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd be open to seeing that if there's more info on it. But also like the herb that goes with ashwagandha for the female, like the ashwagandha is more the male part of this combo. It's like ashwagandha and shatavari. So shatavari is another herb from the Ayurvedic. It is generally like the ashwagandha is somewhat like in a way more for men, whereas the shatavari is more for women. But both men and women can take both, and yeah, shatavari like even has like effects on like making the semen like stronger and thicker and things like that in men. And then it's good for women, like estrogen levels as well. So anyways, but those two kind of are sort of like a pair in that tradition. The ashwagandha and the shatavari is kind of the male and female aspects of those two. And I like doing, sometimes I'll just do one or the other, or I'll do both. Like I'd notice the kind of difference with that. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention shatavari since we're talking about ashwagandha.
Stronger, thicker, better.
Yeah, that thing you mentioned, I can't pronounce because I don't know it yet. It was right next to the pine pollen on the top too when I searched testosterone on Phoenix Aurelius's website. Thought that was interesting. Geo knows his shit.
What you guys' take on She Legit?
On what?
Be legit, son.
Spell it.
Yeah, I took it before. I think it definitely has a noticeable effect for some people. I was one of those.
It can be pretty difficult to get a good source. Often it has a lot of heavy metals in it. Really high levels of heavy metal in it. But otherwise, it is something that like does have like pretty good tea boosting benefits. Put in some tea, call it my TT.
Yeah, dude. I always pronounce it Shilajit. I think Shilajit is how I pronounce it. But yeah, that's also from the Ayurvedic kind of traditions as well. That's also in their medicinal system. So yeah, it's a medicine, and it's also an adaptogen. And yeah, Shilajit's amazing. But I agree with Yasuke. It's hard to get a good source of it. There's a lot of like fake stuff and a lot of stuff that's full of heavy metals, and like you said, because it's not like the real deal. But yeah, it's it's like a goo that comes out of the side of mountains. Like they call it mineral pitch. And yeah, if you get the real stuff, that's like superfood level of what it can do.
You know the one you guys always talk it up as if it's like a really good thing, but I'm pretty sure I got really high quality stuff. But it's the lion's mane mushroom. I bought a huge ass bag and I didn't notice a damn thing, not one fucking thing on that.
Yeah, so I specifically take it for like CTE issues. I've had many a concussion from like fighting and various different things. So I can sometimes have like brain issues, which is why I sometimes say retarded things or slur my words. And when I have lion's mane, I say less retarded things, I slur my words less. And one common thing that can happen is like if I shake my head like I'm saying no violently, I can get like a high pressure build in my brain. But taking lion's mane very, very much helps with that, of like repairing a lot of those things and getting rid of those symptoms.
So you guys mentioned it's hard to find Shilajit that's good. Phoenix Aurelius, again, so far as I know, he's the only person that makes publicly available the source of Shilajit that's actually from America here in the Rocky Mountains. Because a lot of the other ones are coming from either India or where's that other mountain range? Just between Russia and another country is the other source.
Yeah, I mean, the only question is like if he has third-party testing. That's the only thing that I would really care about. Because like you can just third-party test for what are the composition of the heavy metals and the things that are supposed to be in here versus what actually is in there.
Yeah, yep, there you go. I mean, Phoenix is so refined about everything he does because he's actually making like alchemical, you call them spagyrics. Yeah, quality is like his number one. I took the Shilajit I bought it from him. That's the stuff I'm talking about. It's fantastic and it smells a little bit like gasoline almost. It's so potent.
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
have
man.
almost like a petroleum-y thing going on with it, like so the scent of it, like just it's interesting how it's connected to the earth with that.
And you were talking about getting it like actually in like the mineral pitch, like a sludge or something. Phoenix's comes pre-filtered to something like 15 microns. So I mean, you're getting really, really small molecules when you get that stuff too.
I think I've discussed it with
Level
you. I was going to say real quick, like you reminded me of something like I did some research on ancient Tibet. I was trying to figure out why the Chinese were attacking the Tibetans. And there's a couple different theories, but whilst digging in that rabbit hole, I was learning about their medicine, like the Tibetan / Nepalese medicine. And I forget what year it was, but it was like more than 1,000 years ago. They were holding world medicinal summits. They had emissaries from Tibet would go to all the major metropolitan places in the world, and they would hand letters over to the king, say, please send your best medical practitioners to our summit. We wish to discuss everything that they know, and they can feel free to learn everything that we know. And they were just sharing all this like medicine / herbal remedies. Like, how cool would it be to be a fly on the fucking wall 1,000 years ago is when you have all these different emissaries descending on a medical summit? It would have been so dope, dude.
Alchemist farmers market, that'd been fire.
They had those drawings with like all the veins before, whenever the guy, supposedly mapped the body, like Jack the Ripper era. They had those veins all the way through the bodies all the way back then. They knew.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, especially around Ayurvedic medicine, like they were way advanced, 1,000 years ago, maybe even more. Yeah, that's
Do you think
interesting.
do you think they were trying to copyright medicine and push pills on everybody?
It's funny. I mean, it's interesting that you'd think that, yeah, medicine would be that thing that would kind of travel the world first, because people would want to heal others or find a way for somebody to be healed,
Yeah, I think
Super interesting.
Seneca. I'm pretty sure Seneca got it right like 2,500 years ago. Let thy food be thy medicine.
Yeah, bro. Speaking of Nepal and Nepalese and Shilajit and some of these things, well, first thing I was gonna ask you with the lion's mane, real quick, how did you make that? Like, did you make it in a tea or did you?
Probably. Is that like the most common? This was quite a long time ago, but I was already like really healthy and strong. So I don't know. Like, I wasn't trying to cure an ailment or anything. I was like young and fucking strong and virile. So I don't know how much I was supposed to be improved, but I just remember like not feeling anything at all.
But you
And being surprised.
You heated it though. You didn't like eat it raw, like you did. It was some kind of heating involved, like boiling water. It just needs to be boiled to be activated. That's all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I like made a tea or like made some food with it, some rice or something. It was, like I said, it was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, lion's mane is not like, in terms of some of the medicinal mushrooms, like reishi, people feel usually, like other mushrooms, it's more like you really feel it more directly. But yeah, lion's mane is like not as much of like a upfront thing. Like it can like give energy and be balancing, but it is like really good for the brain. It's kind of more of like a subtle medicine that does its work. I mean, it is very powerful, but I think in general of all the medicinal mushrooms, it's not. It is kind of in that category of, you may not have as much of like an instant. Sort of like cordyceps, for example, is like really energizing. Like that mushroom, like talk about, like, it's another aphrodisiac. Like the cordyceps is, so like generally, if you take a good dose of cordyceps, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be like, almost like you're on coke. Not really, but it's like a natural coke. You're just going to be like, hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, let's do something. You're going to be ready to like, start lifting cars and stuff. But so cordyceps is like one that's more known to being like, I feel this kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, lion's mane like is good for the brain and memory. So it kind of is maybe not one that's as immediate as like a high kind of thing, as it were.
Which I guess we're calling it a supplement, like is mainstream. It's almost like pharmaceutical. Like everybody has been talking about it for a long time, but it works for me. Like I use it a lot. It's just basic old creatine. Like I actually experience quite a bit of like the brain fog goes away. My recall like increases by like 20-30% if I get on like a nice little dose of creatine, and I forget to take it all the time.
Yeah, it's very good, especially because like to get to the point where you fill your creatine stores, it would be very difficult to get it from actual food. So like when you're often taking creatine, when somebody is taking creatine, you often take a lot more to start off with, and then you slowly taper down to like a more basal level. Once you get to like the basal level, it's like 0.75 pounds of red meat a day would fulfill your creatine stores. So that is something that is like viable, as in take creatine to get to a certain level. And then as long as you're eating, a decent amount of red meat per day, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think I take like 7 grams is what I'm taking right now.
Dude, the thing I was going to bring up about Nepal, like I went back to the lion's mane thing, so I wanted to ask you about that. But the Nepalese, dude, you guys, I just ordered. I've never tried it before. You guys know what mad honey? You know about the mad honey? It's like the honey that basically makes you like high or like drunk. Yeah, you like get high. It's like basically a honey that the bees are getting the pollen from like the rhododendron, from the oleander like rhododendron species. For some reason, when the bees make it from that plant, it makes this honey that has what they call granotoxin, and granotoxin is what like gets you the kind of inebriation feeling about it. I know like it was on like Joe Rogan or whatever, like he had it and he was like he took a spoonful and he was talking about it or whatever. So it's gotten like a little bit popularity that way. But I mean, you guys probably know about like the honey hunters and stuff, and like it's like honey that gets you high basically. And I've never tried it. I was looking more into it. It's like a medicine though. Like it's not just some like, I mean, it's right. I mean, if as long as you get the natural shit from nature, obviously from the real bees. I mean, there's just I've never tried it, but like what I've like looked into and read about it, like it sounds like it has all kinds of actual like healing medicinal qualities, and it has like, I guess they describe it as like a little bit of it's like a little bit of a sedative if you eat a lot of it. It's also, they say it's a little bit of an aphrodisiac, and it can make you maybe kind of like dizzy or or kind of like high basically. But I don't know, you guys may even know more about it in a degree. But dude, I ordered some of it. It's gonna be here in a few days, so I'm gonna try it for the first time. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Gio, can you DM that to me? You said mad honey?
Yeah. Do you know what that reminds me of? That when mongooses fuck up and they get hit by the snake and the venom, they don't die from the venom. They just get really sleepy. They go to sleep for like 10 or 15 minutes and they're like fucked up and drugged, and then they'll go right back to fighting that fucking viper again or whatever it is. So that's this like funny honey is like our version of that. Does what is the new fat? I don't know I don't even know if it's a pill or they're injecting it. What's the new like fat craze? Everybody's getting skinny off this new Hollywood drug. What is it called? Ozempic. Do you know what that's made from?
That lizard venom, boy.
Fucking Gila monsters, dude. Gila monster venom. Is that a trip?
Hey, real quick, that is a trip. This is the Amazon link from the one that I got. There's only like one that's on Amazon that's available. And yeah, I did get it from Amazon, this one, but there's a bunch of other companies that carry it. So I'm going to probably look more into some of the other ones too. Because yeah, this like the one on Amazon, it's like, who knows if they're legit, but it looks like a pretty big company, and they claim it's completely wild. Like, they say it's all traditionally sourced and stuff. Like, it also said that like when they get it, they smoke out the bees or whatever. So like, what is that chemical they're smoking them out with? So yeah, it could. I'll have to see where the journey leads. But yeah, I'm gonna I want to try it though, so I mean, even if this one's not legit or whatever, I'll probably order some other ones, maybe over, try them out because I kind of want to. I don't know, it's something I've never of all these years, I've never tried it. I guess it's never really been that accessible. Like this company, actually, I got it from. They were saying that basically it wasn't really available to the rest of the world, but I guess there's more industry trying to make it more available, so you can just buy it in the United States and have it shipped to you, kind of thing. I think that's somewhat new. I'm not sure you could even get it 10 or 15 years ago in the U.S. As far as I know. So, anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. I mean,
I had no idea what a rhododendron looked like. I had to look it up.
So the mad honey and its effect, right? What are they accounting for that? Where does the is it because the bees are going for the plants that have the psychoactives, or is it something that the bees are doing?
It's probably three things. Two different plant materials mixed with their belly ingestion. It's activating, is my guess.
Well, they call them the grayanotoxin. So it says here, rhododendron species and other plant species in the Ericaceae, I think that might be how you say that, produce grayanotoxins. Honey made from the nectar contains pollen from these plants as well as the grayanotoxins. Mad honey is darker and redder than other honeys, and it has a slightly bitter taste. Yeah, I think it's the grayanotoxins that I guess the rhododendron have. The bees then pollinate that, and then I guess that grayanotoxin ends up in the honey, which is what they say gets you high or gets that kind of inebriation aspect. But they say it's also medicinal. It's not just a get high thing. It also has even spiritual and medicinal, which makes sense if it's from nature and it's
it looks thin and runny.
Yeah. I think that's what it was on Rogan. Did you see that dude on Rogan? He took a huge spoonful. Rogan's like, "Whoa, dude, don't take that much."
No. Did he? What are the effects? What is the high from it?
I mean, dude, I've kind of I
haven't watched Rogan in quite a few years.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Is it different than Manuka honey? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because Manuka doesn't really do the inebriation thing, but yeah, Manuka is a type of honey where it has a unique substances in it, which I don't remember off the top of my head.
Holy shit, this is $65 for a small little container? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to buy some as well.
I mean, do you want cheap drugs or?
No, I'm just saying that if you buy raw organic honey, which I use pretty often in my tea,
we're all going to be.
It's the only form of caffeine I ever consume.
We're all going to be.
Then I use raw organic
and tanning our balls.
Then what I use is just raw organic unfiltered honey or Manuka honey, and Manuka is even more expensive than the other stuff, but this stuff is even more expensive than that. So wow, okay.
Hey, Yasuke, have you ever fucked around with this stuff? This ecdysterone? I keep on forgetting to look into this. Does everybody know what myostatins are?
I don't think Yasuke is not still here.
Do you know what myostatins are, Gio?
A myostatin reducer?
Sure. Myostatins are hormones, natural in everybody. The body puts out these hormones to reduce your muscle mass, to reduce the amount of muscle that you're able to build in your body. And certain people and certain dog breeds, you've seen those bulls that are just ripping fucking veins and muscles, and there's certain dog breeds that have these muscles everywhere. Well, it turns out that those breeds are myostatin deficient. They have low levels of myostatin, meaning they don't even need to work out, and their muscles just pop all the way through their skin. So this stuff right here, this ectesterone, is supposed to be the only known
myostatin inhibitor.
Yes.
Well, you have to be careful, man, because that's precisely what can cause like a permanent heart damage condition.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. So when you start fucking with your muscles, like, supplementing hormone or restricting hormone, like,
well, I mean, you have to admit it's probably safer than testosterone itself, right?
Well, there's different types. Different types. I'd say testosterone's probably safer. I don't know. Actually, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's different kinds, man. There's all kinds of different like stimulants. So just to say testosterone like it's the only one, I don't know. But I don't know.
I remember learning about that and just thinking that was a trip. Like our bodies naturally produce a hormone that reduces the amount of muscle that we can grow. So when we hear these, I really don't want to go biblical after the last couple of days, but when we hear these biblical accounts of like giants, what if these motherfuckers just had really low myostatin levels and they were just like bulging ass muscles?
Oh, you look at horses. Horses gonna have that issue too.
Dude, I feel that way when I eat organ meats, dude. If I eat like raw organ meats, I feel like that. It's like muscles are just like happening without even lifting up, like lifting. But it's because like some of those nutrients you're talking about, like the creatine, also carnitine, L-carnitine, creatine, a lot of these nutrients. When you get like really therapeutic doses of them, like CoQ10 is another one that are in like organ meats. Anyways, it's maybe not connected to the myostatin thing, but you were saying where your muscles just feel like they're just like popping on their own. It's like people talk about Alchemist, where he had like a big like shoulder and neck and shit, even though he didn't even wasn't really from working out. It's just from eating tons of like organ meats.
Well, do you remember like that photo of like the 7-year-old kid who looked like he was like a bodybuilder? Well, it turns out that guy just had low myostatin naturally. He had like what is it, like a genetic morphology or something?
They made those memes about him saying it looked like he got put in timeout for 5 years in prison.
No, but Andrew, on that Mad Honey, dude, yeah, it is expensive, I think, because it's like pretty rare. They have to like go out into the jungle and like find it. So yeah, I some of the other ones, dude, I saw like just looking at other websites for it. Like some of them are like $200 a bottle. Like there's some really expensive ones. So yeah, it's gonna be way more expensive than Manuka. And by the way, the thing in Manuka, I just didn't. I don't remember that chemical name offhand, but it's like that MG. I just had it pulled up. Yeah, methyl glycosal. How do you pronounce that? Methyl glycosal. Glycosal. MGO. This is basically what's in Manuka honey that has like the antibacterial. That's the word. Methyl glycosal. Methyl glycosal. Methyl glycosal. That's probably how it's pronounced.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like buying cheap shit. So yeah, I'm gonna add that to my list.
So one of the only known ways to reduce your myostatin levels naturally, completely naturally, is to do a complete total body workout every single day. Like for example, there's a bunch of bodybuilders who have gone to the guys in the Olympics that do the rings, the rings dudes. They don't do bicep workouts at all. The only thing they do is hang on those fucking rings every single day. So they're just working that out every single day. Whereas even the guys on steroids don't work out their biceps every single day. But yeah, so it's just, I find that interesting.
Yeah, like doing compound movements, right?
Well, who has the energy to do a complete total body workout every single day? Like your body would be in so much pain, dude.
I fucking do. Hey, listen, that's exactly what I do every fucking
and I do it
day.
fasted too.
I promise you this.
Coffee, black coffee.
I train every fucking day and I'm in pain every fucking day. I've been doing this for years, my friend.
Do you take elk antler? Dude, elk antlers like rejuvenates the muscle growth. It accelerates muscle growth and rebuilding for for that. Elk
I don't
antler.
know. I'm just shredded. I'm fucking vascular. I'm ripped to shreds. I have a six pack. I'm 6'5", you know. It's a good life.
All right. Any single women?
Hey, you should see the last girl I smashed. I'm 37. She was 25. Oh, she broke my heart, but it's okay. Next. I
Hey,
had these
Blob's
two
here.
hoes.
Blob's
Two
here.
hoes that, oh, my bad.
Oh god. I was saying I level up's here. I level up. We've been talking about all kinds of health stuff.
He's not here, dude.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, you know what else I
Blob
bought
is
today?
here.
Hey, listen, you guys were speaking of Manuka honey. I bought myself a jar of Manuka honey that's 400 MGO rated, straight from New Zealand. $60 for this fucking jar. I'm like, okay, I think it was 70, because I'm not even talking about the tax right here. Then I bought myself a tincture where, like, this lady, this Chinese lady downtown Toronto called Herbie's Herbs, she can mix up anything you fucking want straight in. So I'm like, okay, so can you make me a Shilajit ashwagandha and sea moss tincture? She's like, no problem. Oh yeah, send it. Then she made me a whole fucking tincture of that shit. Gio, remember I was talking to you? I gave you like 3 lists of plants. Yo, she gave me a fucking tincture of 20 fucking plants in it. I'm like, hell yeah, hook that shit up. And on top of that, guess what else I bought? A pure copper mug with a copper straw. Fuck yeah. I'm living a healthy lifestyle.
Hey, Levelist, you know, Mike Menser kind of says the opposite for building muscle. He says to, work out one time and then fully recover and then work out. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, he himself was on copious amounts of steroids, but then after he was done bodybuilding, you're 100% correct. He trained a bunch of people and they enjoyed a lot of success. I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to work out every single day. Never. Not even when I was young, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I was a slow recoverer. I needed twofold. If I did a chest workout, I needed on Monday. I couldn't do chest again until Thursday.
I work through the pain, man. I work out. I don't like, even if it burns you to wake up in the morning and just fucking do it.
That's why you're so small.